Standing outside the US Embassy in Moscow is a poster of Gonzalo Lira, with one of his quotes reading, "Free speech is a threat to American democracy." And the workers of that embassy have to see his face day in, day out. So as you can see behind me, it's Gonzalo Lira. And there's a photo of him right outside the US Embassy. Right outside the embassy, elite level trolling. Now, you may all be wondering what on earth I'm doing outside the embassy today. Well, I had to come and pay respects to Gonzalo Lira, actually. We go way back, me and Gonzalo. I've never met the man. Gonzalo, God rest his soul, he's the sole reason why I'm in Russia today. I would not be here if it wasn't for Gonzalo Lira. And that's one of the things. I would not have ever thought that I would leave the UK and even leave the West entirely. I would have never dreamt of that idea if it wasn't for Gonzalo's words. Gonzalo is pretty much the reason why I left, why I ended up married with my first child in Russia, because he told a whole different story that no one else was telling, and himself is the prime reason why I'm here. Really, if it wasn't for his words in a video entitled "Leave the West While You Still Can" that we're going to play at the end of this video, I would have never decided to leave. I would have never left. I would have never had that fear stricken into me about what's to come, what the future holds for the Western world. He was a very intelligent man, and he spoke his mind. Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, he spoke his mind, and he was truthful. And I knew him way before his later life, before he passed. I used to watch his channel Coach Red Pill, and he basically gave men advice, good advice on freedom, on relationships, on all sorts of different topics that men needed to hear. And it was actually on the back of his advice that I decided to leave the West. And it's still the best decision that I've ever made. So I need to thank Gonzalo for that. That's why I came all the way out here today to make this video, because that man deserves respect. God rest his soul. He's of course been killed off now by the powers that be. You know, it's strange. It's because of him that I realised in life sometimes everything happens for a reason, you know. It was a man that goes by the name of Adrian that introduced me to his material, and Adrian introduced me to two channels, one being The Jolly Heretic and one being Coach Red Pill, and I decided to check out Gonzalo Lira's channel. I watched him before the coronavirus, and I really got into his material when the pandemic struck, and I remember watching him around about then, and he was one of the only ones that was basically giving an alternative standpoint on what was going on. And at the time he was explaining a lot about geopolitics, where the world's going, what's going to happen to the West, how the East is rising. I didn't understand anything about BRICS or any of these different institutions and how the world's changing before him. He was the one that basically gave me a completely newfound outlook. Now, before him, honestly, I probably wouldn't have considered Russia. I was always kind of interested in Russia, but at the same time, I wouldn't have been given the kick up the backside to go if it wasn't for his strong, powerful words. Now, when I originally left the West, that was going back, even before I came to Russia, I went to Tbilisi in Georgia, where I enjoyed a lot more freedom than I do in the West, which was marvellous. And I remember when it was about a year after, of course, when everything started, SMO started and all that, Gonzalo again was providing a different viewpoint, and I thought, you know what, I need to come here and see what life is like on the ground for myself. Now, he's changed a lot of young men's lives because basically he told the truth to Western men. And in his video, for instance, Leave the West Now While You Still Can, I met also two of my best friends to this day. That's an American lad called Ed, and he moved to Tbilisi, and we lived together at one point. We were best friends. And another one of my friends, that is Frederick, and he's from Norway, and he decided to move to Tbilisi too. And we all watched Gonzalo Lira's channel. So imagine, like, a bunch of guys were getting this information, and some of us followed up on it, basically. So he really gave men their wings, Western men their wings. And that was the thing. He gave me my wings because I felt quite, I guess you could say, powerless, helpless before he came along. His advice, his words, his truth got me to act, and not many people can do that, but he did. And when he put out that video, I'll never forget, I was in Wales at the time. So now, how is Gonzalo Lira linked to me moving to Russia? So, what happened was, I remember it was around about coronavirus time. We went to Wales, and it was the summer. And I'll always remember watching this video. It said, "Leave now while you still can." And it was very interesting and thought-provoking. I thought, I need to click this thumbnail. I was staying in North Wales at the time with my family, and I'll never forget how, when I watched it, I realised, holy crap, I've got to get out of the West. I've really got to get out. I've got to go anywhere but here. And I realised what I had to do, and it was later on after the summer, so September, October, and it was about November, December, I started packing my bags. I then went off to Tbilisi. I lived in Tbilisi for a year. I managed to escape all the draconian lockdowns and all of the mandates and all this rubbish. And I met other best friends that were also referred to Leave the West by Gonzalo Lira's channel. So I met some of the best friends that I'd ever met because of this man. A year after, I then decided, because of his words again, I need to go and see Russia, see what it's all about, because he was telling a completely alternative story about a country when, you know, the entire mainstream media that we used to get in the West was, of course, telling the exact opposite. So I came, and again, it was the best decision I ever made, because now I've met my wife, now I have my first child, and it's all thanks to him. It's all thanks to Gonzalo Lira. So, you know what? To see what the West did to him, because of course he's dead now. He died in a Ukrainian prison, and of course it was because the embassies of America that were there and could have helped and knew he was in captivity were like, nah, screw it, let him rot. And he did. He rotted in prison, and now he's dead. But the beauty about his message is again, Gonzalo Lira, he's not just a man, he's an idea. He's an idea. And his words are now being spread by other people. His ways are being spread by other people because they were so powerful, built such a following, that, of course, he had such an effect on men's hearts, souls, and gave them the wings they needed to, again, get out of the West, get out of the Western world, and go and live an enjoyable life elsewhere. So that's why I came down here today, to show my respects to the man himself, Gonzalo Lira. And God bless him. God bless him. Because like I say, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be married right now. Wouldn't even have a child right now. I'd probably be in my bloody room, somewhere in England, bloody doing nothing, just having a crappy breadline life and just living on the breadline, paycheck to paycheck, and just having a terrible life. He said, but I just followed the guy's advice, and now my life's infinitely better. And despite the fact that he's dead, his ideas have lived on and lived on through me. And I aspire to be that courageous, to be as courageous as he was, because he was a man of balls. Could you say his decision was stupid to stay in Ukraine? Yeah, probably. Probably would have left. He had the opportunity, did he? No. And then he died there. But at the same time, his spirit lives on. Don't forget that. We're only spirits inhabiting these fleshly bodies. You don't have to worry about anything else. Apart from the fact that, you know, if this meat vehicle perishes, it's all right. Go on to the next life. Don't worry about it. So, yeah. God bless him. God bless him. You can't say he didn't have balls for what he did. He had serious brass balls, proper courage. And it's because of that man. That's the reason why I'm in Russia. And again, I want to pay my respects to him today. I wanted to pay my respects to him today, and I'm glad Russia did. I'm glad Russia put up his billboard right outside the embassy to point it at them and say, look what you did. This is because of you. And you know what? God bless them for doing that, because at least here he's lived on. The man has lived on because of his free speech journalism, saying exactly what he thinks, not being coerced by anyone else. Doesn't matter whether you agree with him or disagree with him. The man had courage, and he's had such a lasting impact on other people's lives now, including my own, a huge impact because of his words. A true wordsmith of a man. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that for now, but again, I just wanted to pay my respects to, a great man, an inspiration, a bit of an idol in my life, if I'm honest with you. And I'm glad to have paid respects to him and to come down and say thank you. Although it's just a poster. It's good to. It's good to pay my respects at least somewhere. At least there's some form of grave or something somewhere for him. And that's on the streets of Russia, not in the West. They don't care. No, but they did it in Russia. And God bless Russia for that, and God bless Gonzalo Lira. Right, it's time to play the video that changed my life, everybody. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna do the video as the outro. God bless you.
Hi there. I haven't been posting much as of late because I've just been with other stuff on my mind, but I'll be reactivating my Gonzalo Lira channel in just a little bit. But before that, I just wanted to put up this video, and it's a message I've been telling my Patreon subscribers, and I'm gonna tell you as well. And the message is very, very simple. If you live in any of the democracies of the West, you should leave now. Now, while you still can. See, what's happening in the Western democracies is that they are becoming totalitarian. New Zealand and Australia are the models for what is going to happen to the United Kingdom, Canada, the United States, the European Union. And if you are unvaccinated, or if you simply don't cotton to a government dictating your every move and controlling your every move by way of the vaccine passports, well, see, it's going to get a lot worse. I mean, really bad. Some of you might know this, many of you won't, but I studied Russian history. I specialized in the Russian Revolution. The two Russian revolutions of February 1917 and October of 1917. And what is happening in the Western democracies is very akin to that situation. And we are going to see, as was seen in Russia in 1917, how a leftist totalitarian regime is going to take over, take power, and crush all opposition. They've already taken over the military. It's very, very clear. And a lot of people in the United States especially say, you know, Second Amendment rights and blah, blah, and we got more guns and blah, blah. No. The American military will crush any kind of armed resistance in the United States, without question, without hesitation. They will crush it using drones. They can drone strike anybody in America. And they will. Any dissident, anyone who tries to forcibly resist what's coming will be annihilated. And everything that they have worked for, everything that they have, will be stripped from them, destroyed. You can't resist what's coming. And I know a lot of people are going to say that this is black-pilled, that this is a defeatist attitude. I'm sorry if you think that it's black-pilled. I'm sorry that you think it's defeatist, but it's not defeatist. It's realistic appraisal of what is going on. There is no political opposition to the insanity that has gripped the Western democracies. And they have gone insane. The governments have gone insane. Bureaucracies, the medical bureaucracy, but also the law enforcement bureaucracy has realized that there's nobody really opposing them. There is a power vacuum. And into this power vacuum, the absolutely most totalitarian people have stepped in, and they are ramping up their totalitarianism. And like I insist, Australia is the future of the rest of the Western democracies. In Australia, today, right now, you cannot leave without government permission. You cannot leave your house except to buy groceries, get a vaccination, or a few other items, and you cannot drive more than 5 kilometers from your home. 5 kilometers is roughly 3 miles. You cannot. You are imprisoned in your own home. And you look at videos that are coming out of Melbourne, in Australia, in South Australia, and you see all of the shops are closed, all of the businesses decimated. They don't care. They don't care how poor they make their own nation, so long as they have absolute control over the population, over you. That's what they are doing in Australia. That's what they are going to do in Canada, going to do in the United Kingdom, and are going to do in the United States and the European Union. And what is happening with the conservative politicians, the ones that you would think would be standing up for individual rights? Well, they have their arms crossed. Thank you very much. They just have their arms crossed and they're just watching and like, oh, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. But are they actually doing anything to stop this? No, they aren't. This left-wing totalitarianism is creeping up. Why? Because for right-wing politicians who are supported by corporations, this totalitarianism is good. Because the totalitarianism is wiping out the competition of these corporations. And these corporate powers have aligned themselves to the left-wingers, and the left-wingers are decimating independent economic units, small businesses, small farms. They are decimating them. It's on purpose, so that the only economic player left standing are the monopolistic corporations. And these monopolistic corporations not only control the things that you buy, the foods that you eat, they also control the means of communication. And they don't allow any competition. Look what happened to Parler a few months ago. They got wiped out just like that. And all of the tech oligopolies all at once decimated Parler because it was competing with Twitter. And see, these monopolistic players are helping one another out so that they have complete control over communications. And what happens when your opponent has complete communication, complete control of your communication? Well, you cannot communicate with like-minded people. You get banned. And so because of that, there isn't going to be any kind of grassroots resistance that will be able to organize and resist this. And we've seen the resistance that's happened in Australia, and it's gotten crushed, and nobody really says anything. And the right-wing politicians are all like, oh, that's okay, because their corporate masters are paying them to acquiesce. You see the game that's being played? And there's no way to resist this. There's no way to stop it. It is coming. And you think that the sky is falling, Coach Redpill is just freaking out. Okay, fine, See, there are two possibilities. Either I'm right or I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then in a few months, you'll have left the West, and in a few months, this whole nightmare totalitarian fever dream will have broken, and everybody will be like snapping out of it and saying, what the hell did we do? And they'll wake up, and in a few months' time, you'll be able to return to the West and continue on because everybody came to their senses. That's one possibility, the possibility that I'm wrong, the possibility that this totalitarianism, people will just snap out of it somehow magically in a few months or maybe a year or two. That's one possibility. Or the other possibility is that I'm right. And the other possibility that I'm right, this totalitarianism becomes worse and worse and worse, and they control every facet of your existence. Your ability to buy food will be controlled by them by way of these vaccine passports. The vaccine passports are basically a social credit system under the guise of medical assistance. But it's the same fucking thing as what's going on in China. With the wrong credit score, social credit score, you can't travel. You can't have a bank account. You won't be able to buy food. You'll be a slave, a prisoner to this totalitarianism. And it's insane, but if you think it's insane, look back what's happened over the last 20 months. Can you believe what's happened since January of 2020 until today? Can you believe, do you understand what's happened? Now is the last chance you're going to have to leave. And where should you go? You should go to a poor, underdeveloped country. Why? Because they're not going to have the resources to implement this totalitarianism. Simple as that. It doesn't matter if you go to Central America, to Mexico, Belize, Costa Rica, any of the republics in Latin America. It doesn't matter if you go to Africa or the Middle East. The Middle East is becoming a lot more peaceful now that the Americans are withdrawing. It doesn't matter if you go to Southeast Asia, to any of the poorer countries. The poor countries, that's where you want to be going. Why? Because they will never be able to afford the implementation of this totalitarianism that we are seeing in the Western democracies. That's the issue. See? You want to go to someplace poor. Eastern Europe, the Middle East, Africa, not South Africa, because if you're white in South Africa, you're a dead man. And to my South African listeners, leave. Even if you're black in South Africa, leave. Because what's happening in South Africa is basically a communist revolution. And once they've wiped out all of the whites, they're going to start wiping out any of the smarter blacks, any of the blacks who have put together a little bit of capital, like they did in the Soviet Union when they wiped out the kulaks. Look it up, Kulaks, the kulaks. They wiped them out because of resentment and hatred. And that's what's going to happen in South Africa. But the other countries in Africa, they'll probably be very safe. Kenya and whatnot, you want to go there. You want to get the fuck away from the Western democracies. I'm telling you, man, once the war with China starts up, which is about to start, it's just perhaps even days away as far as I know, but I personally think it's going to take place in the spring. But once that war with China starts, you will not be able to leave the West. You will not be allowed, because the Western democracies will claim that they are on a war footing, and therefore all transportation, all travel will be curtailed. Everybody will be locked into their homes. And the totalitarianism will be implemented like never before in the West's history. And people won't even believe what is happening, but it will be happening. The war with China is about to start, and it will be the excuse to make of you a prisoner in your own home. So now is the time to leave. And again, I insist to those people who say that I'm a defeatist, that I'm a coward, because a lot of people are going to say that. Okay, fine. I'm a coward. I don't care. I don't care. Because see, my responsibility, it seems to me, having accumulated the subscriber base that I have, my responsibility is to tell you what I actually think. And realistically, there is no way to fight it. The point of no return has been passed quite some time ago. And it'll be up to historians to figure out when that point was crossed, but it has been crossed. There is no way to fight what's coming. So the best that you can do is liquidate all of your assets. Just sell them all. And it doesn't matter if you get, 60 cents on the dollar, 40 cents on the dollar. Sell them all. Get cash. Get the fuck out of the West. Set yourself up in someplace new. I cannot believe I'm making this video. And a lot of you, I know, are going to look at it and just unsubscribe and just say that I've lost my mind. I hope so. I hope I've lost my mind, quite frankly. It would be much better, to my way of thinking, that, I'm just some crazy YouTuber who's just lost his shit, rather than be right about what's about to happen. I truly hope that I've lost my mind, because if not, there's going to be a world of hurt. And that's why I'm urging you, leave now while you still can.